In Brazil, why not have anything in your name? In Brazil, there are three main reasons why it's preferable not to own anything in your name. The first reason involves tax aspects, because if you own assets, for example, assets like real estate intended for rental, whether it's seasonal or annual, the rental income will be taxed at a rate of 27.5% on these incomes. However, if you hold these properties under a company subject to the presumed profit regime, whose main activity is property management, the tax will be reduced to only 15% on the rental income, which is a little more than half. The second reason involves estate planning, because in the case of death, the heirs will have to pay an inheritance tax that can range from 4 to 10% of the value of the estate, in addition to notary fees and inventory fees for the estate. However, if the assets are held within a company, it's the shares that will be transferred during the inheritance, and their values can be dissociated from the real market value. This can significantly reduce the tax base subject to inheritance tax. To protect the heirs, it's recommended to transfer the company's shares during one's lifetime by means of a sale. That way, in the event of death, inheritance tax won't apply to the transfer of these shares. For foreign investors who unfortunately have formed assets in Brazil through their natural person, without having taken the measure to set up companies under Brazilian law, if something happens to them and their heirs wanted to establish the inheritance, initially these heirs will need to legalize the capital that was used by the foreign investor to form this patrimony. If the latter did not bother setting up a Brazilian law company, this means that the principal used to form the estate in Brazil was not registered and legalized with the competent authorities, namely the Central Bank of Brazil and the Brazilian tax authorities, as foreign direct investment. So, heirs wanting to access this estate will not only first have to regularize this situation. Once this situation has been regularized, they will need to carry out patrimonial succession procedures in Brazil and also in the investor's country of origin. Once all these procedures have been completed, they will need to do a final procedure called the conciliation procedure with the different consulates. Unfortunately, in more than 80% of cases, this type of long and tedious procedure makes the heirs abandon the estate built up by foreigners in Brazil. With a company, this problem doesn't arise because the heirs will be able to. With a company, this problem doesn't occur since the heirs can directly enter the capital of the company that holds the assets. Therefore, the procedures for transferring shares will be much simpler without having to complete all these different procedures with the different countries. The third and main reason is asset protection. Although there is no absolute asset protection in Brazil, holding assets within a company allows for a separation of assets and a reduction in risks related to personal insolvency or possible failures of the Brazilian administrative and judicial system. Indeed, the Brazilian judicial and administrative system has obvious inequalities in certain areas. For example, if you own only 1% of the shares of a company with a share capital of 200,000 Brazilian real in any jurisdiction, your liability should normally be limited to 2,000 Brazilian real. However, if this company owes debt to the administrative tax system or labour rights, the government does not consider this liability limit. So, if the debts exceed 2,000 reais, your assets may be seized. For added protection and confidentiality, it's recommended to hold an offshore company that would own the Brazilian company holding the entire estate. In addition, inheritance taxes don't apply to shares in offshore companies. In conclusion, it's advantageous in Brazil to not hold assets in your name because of the tax benefits, estate planning, and wealth protection that it offers. If you'd like more information about investment procedures in Brazil, about protecting your assets, feel free to contact us using the link below. We'll be happy to assist you in all your steps. That's it. Now the video is finished. I hope this content was helpful, and I'll see you soon for a new video. Ciao, ciao.